Alan Clopine. I'm a CPA and I work with Peer Financial Advisors. I met Terry in about 2001. He was teaching a course on how to invest in apartments. I did, and part of what I really liked about Terry from the very start was he seemed very honest and reputable. And as when we first met together, he kind of boiled down the whole apartment market, where the different properties were located in San Diego, and most of them, the biggest concentration were going to be in North Park, City Heights area, and he said that's probably the focus of where we want to spend most of our time. And as a result of that first meeting, I could tell, and I knew that from his class, he seemed like a guy with a lot of integrity. And so what we did after that first meeting is we went out to look at a bunch of properties, and he could show me exactly pros and cons, cash flows, pitfalls, maintenance issues on virtually every property that we looked at. And many he knew about because he'd been in the business a long time, some of which he'd already bought and or sold with other people. So I found him to be a person with very high morals and high integrity in an industry that's not always known for that. I would say very good, because when we went out to look at some properties, and of course there's a certain list price, and then we'd go back to the office and we'd talk about what would be a reasonable price. And what I liked about him was right off the bat, he didn't just say this is what we have to offer, he wanted to get my feedback. And between the two of us, we came up with what we thought was a good offer price. Yeah, I think he did a great job in negotiating. And what was nice for me was then, obviously, he would go to the seller and come back and get the seller's feedback, and there were the counter offer, and then he would tell me, all right, well, here's the things they've countered, and these 2 or 3 are reasonable, and these are not. So let's, my recommendation would be to go back with that. So yeah, I found that real helpful. I think Terry is he really knows his stuff. He's focused on one particular kind of property, which is small apartments. And if you're in the market for small apartments, you want to go to a specialist because there's a lot of things to know, and he knows the market. He knows other agents and brokers in the market. And he's a guy you can trust. And so yeah, I've actually recommended him several times. Terry has probably the best working knowledge of small apartments in San Diego, as a result, if that's something you'd want to look into, and the fact that he's a trustworthy guy, he would be the place you'd want to go to get started. But what I didn't know and learned as a result of my experience with Terry was, I guess just some of the nuances in terms of how to get the right property manager and how to manage the property manager. I already had pretty good working knowledge of the numbers. I'm a CPA, so the cash flows, I really understood that really pretty well. So I guess for me it was more just some of the mechanics of being able to run a property successfully. Yeah, for me, I'd give him top ranking. I'd give him a 10 because of the experience I had. Yes, he was. And the thing that I really appreciate about Terry is he's watching the market daily. So I really felt like he knew what was going on. He's got many deals going on at any one particular time. And so he kind of knows what things will sell for and what people are, purchase price and sales price. So when I sold, that was 2004, when I sold the property with Terry, there had been such a big increase. We both had a pretty good sense that it was a good time to sell. At the time I sold the property with Terry, it was a very hot market, very good for sellers, and I felt like I got the right price. It was a high price, and I got the right price. I would describe Terry as a very optimistic type person. Ethical, honest, hard worker. I think he is one of the best, if not the best, in San Diego for people that want to buy and or sell small apartments. I think he's not only great at doing that, buying and selling, but he invests himself. So he really understands it from the owner's standpoint. And so when you go through a property with Terry, he can say, all right, well, this is probably what ought to be done here. And it's not BS, it's the real deal, because he's done it himself. So I really appreciate that aspect as well. That he's got the background. He knows how to buy and sell apartments, but he also knows how to run them because he's done them himself.